Let me ask, do you have a disorganized mess on your hands with lots of folders causing a cluttered drive? Google Drive disorganization can feel overwhelming. You spend precious time hunting for those files, digging through outdated folders, and trying to remember what you named that important document. Does this sound familiar to you at all? Well, you're not alone. And the good news is there's a simple fix. Have you ever stopped to evaluate what your disorganization is costing your business? It may seem silly, right? How does not having a system to organize your Google Drive folders cost your business? I've seen how a messy Google Drive will drive an entrepreneur to tears, searching for that existing file they know they have saved someplace. Not only do messy drives cause you stress, they also are responsible for lost productivity. Have you ever spent your valuable time searching for an important file? That wastes your energy that you could be spending on those high priority tasks or those revenue generating tasks. But what else does Google Drive disorganization cost your business? God forbid those disorganized files lead to missed opportunities when you're struggling to find a file or maybe a legal document that's essential for that client request. I've managed team members as an online business manager who spent so much time searching in Google Docs for critical documents. I think we can both agree that it's a waste of time, money, and resources for everyone. In the end, digital clutter leads to stress and feeling overwhelmed. A cluttered virtual workspace creates an unnecessary mental load, as if running a small business isn't taxing enough on our mental load. Am I right? But here's something I think we both can agree on how frustrating and time consuming it is to look for digital files without a folder structure or consistent naming convention. You know that you have that digital file saved somewhere from the early years in your business, but where the heck did you actually put that digital file? You're always racking your brain for what you would have named it, where you would have stored it. You're searching for all kinds of random keywords. You're looking at tons of different files as you're trying to find that one keyword that you have to pull up that document. Is this you at all? If so, you're not alone. It's okay because I've seen this repeatedly in online businesses. The problem is when you're starting out in the early years of your business, you're penny pinching. Am I right with that? You're band-aiding things together. Instead of buying more file storage space, you'll just find some free account. Genius, right? At the time, that's what you're thinking. Oh, I'm so smart doing this. But that's one less monthly expense as you're a frugal business owner. But you know what happens? It helps. I know this happens because I've helped untangle more than one messy Google Drive or actually multiple drives where they've just had all kinds of free account after free account after free account. And the amount of money that they spent for their team members and myself to search for files would have been well worth the investment of just having one central location for all their file structures. So, how would you actually go about creating a Google Drive file structure? Now that I've told you all the reasons why it's costing your money, what do you actually do about it? Well, before we get into it, I want you to test out a couple different things because Google Drive file structure determines needs to be just like with systems. This is the same thing. You have to figure out what works for you because it's essential that you set up a system that you understand. So if you have more of that ADH brain, opening up a folder to see endless Google Docs, images, media files, all of those things may be very overwhelming for you. However, if you have specific folders with just a few docs, that may be better. And you also may want to color code your folders for a visual cue of the documents. All of my content management folders are yellow in my Google Drive. So, are you a clicker or are you a root organizer? Because that's really the question that we need to answer today. So, if you understand your preference of how you want your folder structures is key to keeping your files organized and be not overwhelming for you. Do you prefer to click through a lot of levels of folders till you find what you need? Or does that sound like a nightmare and you'd rather have all your folders easily accessible just at the root level of your Google folder? It's completely up to you. You need to pick what works best for you and what makes you not feel overwhelmed by your digital content. because I've worked with both types of small business owners. I feel like majority of them need to have that structure of clicking through different folders so they don't have too many things in one place. They like to be able to see it on a short screen, all of their files. But you need to figure out again what works for you. Whichever style that you choose, the goal is to ensure that your Google Drive stays organized by using clear, logical naming convention. Again, that is makes sense to how you would use it. Just an example for one of the clicker approach. How would you set that up? You would have your top at your root level, or your hierarchy would fall like this. So you'd have at your root level like a marketing, sales, client, operations folders, for example. And underneath your marketing folder, you could have your content hub, which would then include like your core content, your podcast, your newsletters, your social media. Then you can have a folder for your freebies. So keeping all your lead magnets and opt-ins in one place and all the collateral that goes along with that, all of your branding material and all of your website assets. And then in your sales folder, this would be where you have your client onboarding, your discovery notes, your prospecting spreadsheet. And under clients, that's where you have all your individual client folders. And then you can have that labeled. I put like the brackets around it to say shared. So I know the folder that I actually have shared with my client in there, not only for mine, but also for my actual team members so that they can know, oh, this is the folder that I need to drop in client notes because this is the shared folder with them. So that is just one of the things that I like to do instead of having to go and look at who has access to that folder. I just like to know that it's shared with the client. And then for operations, you can have your finance, your personal business development, your standard operating procedures. Those are just things that you could have inside of your operation folders. And again, this method is going to work best for that person that wants to navigate through multiple levels so that they're not having a lot of files in one location or a lot of things on one screen when they're going through. The example too, so this is the root organizer. So if you like to have a simple hierarchy of folders, then you might want to do this. Like you want to log in and see everything that you have in one spot. How I would suggest that you look at it, or what you can consider doing, is when you create your folders, you would say like marketing, and I use the I don't know if it's a slash, what they call it, the pipe, probably the pipe, maybe. So the marketing or the pipe, and then content bank and marketing in the pipe and freebies and opt-ins. Then you might have sales in your pipe and your new client paperwork and your sales slash or pipe and discovery calls, client pipe and your client name, operations pipe, finance operations pipe, SOPs. So that's just to give you an idea. And I actually do have a digital file organization opt-in or free offer that you can have. I'll go ahead and put that link down below in the show notes, just in case you want to go and actually look at how I have all that file structure set up in there. But no matter what you prefer, you just want to be consistent so that you can keep that digital workspace organized. You want to choose that structure that works best for you and your workflows, and the one that you actually know that you'll stick with because it works for you. Either example, it doesn't matter. It just has to work for you and your business. That's the key thing. And with Google Workspace, you do have different types of Google Drives. You'll have one that can be your own drive, and the other option can be the shared drive for clients and team members. Maybe you want to opt in to do that way to keep all of your accounting files or things that you want just your eyeballs on underneath that main drive. And then anything in that shared file would be where you would put your team files or your client documents. So just keep in mind when you're setting up new files how you would like it to be. And here's some tips for naming files because, oh my goodness, this is one of the things that I regret when I first started my business because I totally speak from experience. This is something that I did. So learn from my mistakes. It turns out that I had a complete hot mess of downloaded freebies because I was like, oh, I've never been an entrepreneur before. I've never ran a business. So even though I had the background in some different file organization in what I was doing before, when I started off, I was just like eager to learn as much information as I could. I was downloading all kinds of different freebies so I can look at them and ingest them and just learn. But the problem is that I wasn't actually naming them when I downloaded it. I was just leaving it like the name that the person that created that freebie or the business that created that freebie had named it, instead of actually giving it a good descriptive name that I would understand why I downloaded it and what piece of information I wanted to get out of that. So what I ended up actually doing is deleting most all of those that I had downloaded at one time because I had no idea and I was not going to take the time to go through all of those different files to figure out what it was that I needed. I figured if I really wanted it, I could go back to wherever it was and find that same thing and download it. Or maybe I'd find something else out there that I would like just as well. But, anyways, that's just one piece from my failed attempt right away because you don't want to be searching and searching and searching because you have a poorly named filing structure. And I'll give you Google credit. It's simple to search files in there. I mean, it's super simple, but the problem is it brings back so many files. And then you have to sift through all those files and still find the one that you want. But if you have a really good naming system, it's going to help you be able to look at those quicker and know exactly what you want. Instead of having that generic image 1, 2, 3, 4, you'll have something more descriptive in there. Let's say you're a wellness coach and you have images for your social media. You can have wellness coaching tips. IG is what I use for Instagram. And then the month and or the year and the month that you actually use that image. So that's just an idea. I keep all my images in my image library, and that might be something that you want to do as well. But that is an example of how you could actually name that file. So, what's another way that I name some of my files? I'll just give you an example like my receipts. I always name it with the year. So, 2025, the month, January, and what it is. Right now, let's say Metrocool. I pay for Metrocool. That would be, I would say 2025, January, and I use the number 01 and I would say Metrocool. And then behind that, I would put in the brackets again, M. And that means that it's monthly. That's something that I pay monthly. So something that I would pay for yearly, I would have the year. So 2025, the month 01, and what it is, let's say QuickBooks. And behind that, I'd have a Y. And then if it's something that's just a one-time purchase, I just don't have that little M or Y behind it. Just for me, when I'm going through, then I know what those reoccurring expenses are and if they're monthly or yearly. I do try to get to yearly because I don't like to pay for everything every month. I'd rather just have that one payment a year. So it's one less thing to have to worry about every single month. But also, here's one more thing that I do like with my paid offers. I like emojis. I give every single file an emoji. For example, with my content repurposing starter packet that I have, that starts with an actual emoji of a puzzle piece. And that's across all of my applications on my landing pages, my Google Drive, anywhere that I have information about that content repurposing starter pack, I have a puzzle piece. And the reason that I do that is because to me, repurposing content is a missing piece that so many small business owners overlook. So to me, I know when I see that puzzle piece, I know that it's my content repurposing starter pack information for a paid offer that I have. What's the first step then to get a well organized drive? Because I've gone through all of these different reasons why or what examples, but how do you actually do it for yourself? Well, the first step that I think is the easiest to do this is just to create a new folder and name it archive and with the date. So I would name it archive and then I would have probably just 2025 in January or 01, whatever if you prefer. I like to do the numbers so that it makes it sequential when I sort, but you can name it however you want to. And then I would dump everything from your file. So I've just put that on your root. I take all your files that you have and I dump it in that one folder. And then I would take and create your new file structure inside there. What you'll do is when you're going to find those files that you want, then you'll just go into your archive folder and you're going to move it to where you actually want it out in that location so that you have it in those folders. And if you've had multiple drives, Dropbox, let's say iCloud, whatever it is that you have all your folders, then little by little, you'll just move those into those folders as you use them. That way you're not spending time going through and doing it. I mean, don't get me wrong. You can completely hire this out or you can just spend a lot of time doing it. But I think a lot, it's just nice to do it one at a time and just do it because you're busy. You don't have a lot of time to sit there and waste on reorganizing something when you can do it as you're working through it. So just my 2 cents, take it or leave it. So friends, I promise you're going to thank yourself later for taking the time to get this done. And it's worth the effort because disorganization is sneaky and causes chaos when you least expect it. So my advice is to get it done as long as you can. And you can easily outsource this to your virtual assistant. You just want to make sure that you give them clear directions on how you want your files structured. Again, I have that freebie. If that's helpful for you, go ahead and jump down below in the show notes and you can grab it and start there to see the suggestions I have on it, because I have done a number of Google Drive organizations. I understand sometimes it's hard when you first get started, but this will help you get it all started and going. But okay, I've talked long enough. It's time to wrap this up. I hope this makes my case for why Google Drive disorganization is costing your business. More importantly, how do you want to feel when you open your Google Drive? I want you to think about that. This is a good thing to consider when you're setting up your file organization. And if you don't know how you feel with lots of files, test it out. Maybe you want to start with just having all those files on the root. Well, you know what? You can easily move files around with Google Drive with just a few clicks of the button. So it's not a big deal. Like, you can adjust it if you find that it's not working for you. I wouldn't get too many folders until you know exactly how you like to do things, because you're busy, friend, and you have limited time, money, and emotional resources. So you want to make sure that you're directing it to the right things. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you, and I hope you make it a wonderful week. Yay! Thank you so much for listening. I hope that you found this episode valuable and learned some actionable tips that you can implement in your business so that you can feel accomplished and less stressed. If you enjoyed this show, please take a quick minute to share this with your business bestie, subscribe, and leave a review. It helps me reach more business owners just like you. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like me to cover in future episodes, please reach out to me on my website. I've created a form just for you. Remember, with the right system and mindset, you can achieve the success your heart desires. Thank you for tuning in. I look forward to chatting with you next time. I appreciate you, and I hope you have a wonderful week. And don't forget, let's grow, friends.